talk about the critical role of magnetic field for the formation of photovoltaic disks, and I would like to acknowledge all collaborations written here. So the plan of the talk will be as follows. First, I will speak a little bit of the magnetic catastrophe. I will rely on Shantanu talk this morning. Then I will actually argue that there was a catastrophe that we were not aware of before we introduced magnetic field, that I call the hydrodynamical catastrophe, and that there is actually no real catastrophe with the magnetic field. And then I will describe the issue of the formation of this in the context of non-ideal MHD. And then, as the simulations are complex, I will try to sort of wrap up the important physical process in a few formula to try to predict what should be the disk size in this context. And I will try to answer actually the last point, or the last questions that Shantanu had this morning about some possible regulation. Actually, I think there is a very strong magnetically regulated disk formations, which makes the disks largely independent of the large-scale initial conditions, which include rotation and magnetic field. Okay? And then I will compare this model with simulations. So those are sort of collapse calculations with almost idle case and magnetized case, where you recognized many features, in particular in the weakly magnetized case. So you see the first shock here, which signs the presence of the disks. And if the field is strong enough, well, you see only the second shock, which signs the presence of the so-called first Larsen core, which is thermally supported, and there is no disks here. Okay, so this has been established by a series of papers, and this is called the sort of catastrophe, because suddenly disks disappear, and of course we see disks, so that must be wrong. Well, let's have a look a little bit to some observations, where you have here, so that's a paper by Mori et al. And Philippe André, where you see in the torus and Perseus small features, maybe a disks, but the point is that if you compare with what you get in the hydro case, you see these huge structures which should be seen like the nose in the middle of the face, and they are not. And people have been running for 10 or 20 years simulation in the hydrodynamical case without noticing that the disk form in this context are far too big. Okay, and they are not seen. If there is a magnetic field, on the other hand, what you produce here is actually a much better agreement. Okay? So magnetic field actually are much more realistic, much better agreement with the observations than the purely hydro case. So let's have a look now to some collapse calculations again. So that's by the group of the chairman, which will again give me another extra 5 minutes for presenting his work. So in the ideal MHD case, you see it's becoming quickly very unstable. That's because of the so-called interchange instability, where you don't recognize clear disks, and that's a movie showing the same thing, where there may be some structures, but you see these flux expulsions, there's loop, and there's this messy object in the center that you don't want probably to call this a disks. There are outflows, clear outflows, but they're also very messy. And the reason of this mess is that the fluid particles, they get attached to their field lines, and because of rotation, you are continuously generating more and more and more toroidal field, and so your disks is really impeded by this continuously generated magnetic field. So this is making you feeling that to get a disk, somehow you need to get rid of your flux. And there should be some kind of equilibrium between the generation of the new field through the stretching of the field lines and some diffusions. Okay, you can see this, it's very deeply required by the dynamical state of a disk. Okay, and so diffusion is therefore important to get it. And again, a series of papers have been including an ideal MHD. So that's a paper by our group, by Masson et al. You immediately recognize, well, maybe with the movie it would be easier, well-behaved disks. Okay, so that's the same simulation as what I just showed you before, but there is no ideal MHD here. Okay, and this is a well-behaved disk. Okay, it stays there. Sometimes there are these big spiral arms, which may not be that physical actually, but anyway. So you can see this clearly. There's a cavity, again, nice cavity associated to this process. Okay, you see here. And this is the beta of the plasma, so the thermal over magnetic pressure. And maybe you don't see from this scale here, they are here. You see the magnetic field actually, the beta is like 10 to the 3, so most of the field has been expelled. And this is why you get these well-behaved disks. So you have strong field around and low field in the inner part. Okay, because of this magnetic field restriction. So, and you see from these two simulations, it is actually very important. Right, so now you see the simulation, they are complex. Huh? There is this global collapse, dragging and pinching the magnetic field. There is these diffusions. There is this local balance between rotation and gravity. Well, this is a nightmare and simulations are enough. No, they are not enough, and that's a message because I start having some white hair, so I can start speaking to people with a professor voice. No. Simulations, you should never be satisfied only by simulations, because simulations are not generic enough. They don't allow you to extract, you see, the very essence of the physical process. So you must spend some time to actually build models and compare them with the simulations that you work as being theoreticians. Okay? So this said, that's what we try to do here. So to wrap up all this physics in a simple equations and to compare that with the simulations. So to do that, you have to do a cartoon and draw some simple physical ideas. So essentially what we want to describe is this. You have a collapsing envelope and then the disks, which is a centrifugally supported object. So here you will have equilibrium. Okay, so you have rotations. And as you saw from the simulations, so the disks is in equilibrium, but not the envelope, which means that here, at this point, at the transitional point, you must have a transition from being dominated by the rotations to being dominated by the braking time. Okay? Because if the braking time is too short, it means you lost your angular momentum before you rotate once. It means you cannot get an equilibrium. On the other hand, if the braking time is longer than the rotation time, then it means that you do more than one rotation, you build rotations there, so you build your disks. So at this transition point, you must have an equilibrium between the two timescales. Okay, and now the same is true for the magnetic field, for the generation of the toroidal field. Because the toroidal field is responsible of the magnetic braking. So if the magnetic braking is weak, if the toroidal field is weak, there is no magnetic braking. If it's strong, then there is too much braking again. So at this point here, again, you must have an equilibrium between the generation of your toroidal component, which is happening through the stretching of your field line by the differential rotations, and the diffusion time, which is set up essentially by auricular diffusions. So again, an equilibrium between the two times. So once you write that, what you need to know is the value of the magnetic field there and the rotations and the density profile here. Okay, so we need 3 or 4 physical ingredients. Equilibrium between the two times, 1, between these two other times, 2, we need the density, and we need the magnetic field distribution. So let's build this. Okay, timescales. So the generation of the toroidal field, okay, comes from the Faraday equations. That's easy. This is the Faraday growing time. The toroidal field comes from the bipolar diffusions, which is set up by these equations. So essentially, you write that those two times should be equal, which gives you one relation between this quantity. Then magnetic braking, okay, that's the magnetic torque essentially here, and that's the rotation time. So again, these two times must be equal. So that gives you a second relation. You have radial equilibrium again at this transition, and vertical equilibrium. Okay, so you have 1, 2, 3, 4 equations. Then, as I said, you need to know the magnetic field here. When you look at, once you get in ideal MHD, you have this sort of distribution of field which increase with density. But when you have non-ideal MHD, in the inner part, in the outer part of the envelope, it's the same as ideal MHD, but in the inner part there is a kind of plateau. You see a plateau, and this plateau, when you change the field strength, does not change significantly. So there is a strong regulation of the inner part of the magnetic field, the magnetic field inside the source, induced by the Ampère diffusions. And this equilibrium can be understood as follows. You have, on one hand, the drags of the field lines, so the collapse brings fresh sort of field lines, so the flux of BZ, and this is compensated by the diffusions which push the field in the opposite directions. So the combination of those two flux coming again from the Faraday equations leads to this kind of analytical models, which, so this is the magnetic field as a function of density, so this is the equivalent of these diagrams, which show a similar plateau here than here, okay? So this set up the requested magnetic field at the disk transition. So now the very last missing piece of physics is the density profile, which also entails in this analysis. So for that, you look at your collapse calculations. So this is a singular isothermal sphere. This is everything divided by the singular isothermal sphere, normalized, so the singular isothermal sphere is this quantity here. And in the presence of rotation, you have to modify this density to take into account the rotations, and that's a comparison between this analytical formula and a profile from numerical simulations, which show very good agreement. So plugging this density, you can combine with the other relation I show and obtain a prediction for the disk radius. And this prediction is given by that. So the predicted disk radius is about 20 AU, okay, times the ambipolar diffusion resistivity to the 2 to the 9, which is a weak dependence on the resistivity. The BZ, so the magnetic field, which is I show in this plateau just outside the disk, but we saw it does not change too much because it's regulated by the diffusion that we just showed. This is the plateau, okay, and that's the mass, the total mass the total mass of the disk plus star to the 1/3. So the disk grows. Whoops, it's happened. I'm sure. Okay. So the disk grows as the mass, as the stars accrete mass to the 1/3, so it's a slow growth. And as you notice, rotation does not appear in this formula. And the reason is there is a compensation with the braking. If you have more rotation, then you have more toroidal field, and therefore more braking, and that compensates for the rotation. So this formula actually suggests that the disk properties very weakly depends on the initial conditions. Of course, if the field is very weak, they will, but in some reasonable range of field, it will not depend on the magnetic field very strongly, and it will not depend on the rotations. So it's kind of self-regulated by the magnetic processes. By contrast, if you look at the hydro case, first the disks are much bigger, by at least a factor 5, and then beta, which is the ratio of the rotation of the gravitational energy appeal, which means that you have a direct mapping between the initial rotations and the disks. Okay, so how does it compare with models? So this is a series you see of collapse calculations where we vary the Mach number by a factor more than 5, the beta and so on, and the Mach by a factor 100, and that's the ratio of the disk over this measure in the simulations over the analytical predictions. So we get a dispersion within a factor 2-ish. So this type of approach can guide the thinking and provide a way to analyze what's happening in your simulation, the deviation and so on. Okay? So I think I'm running out of time, so those are my conclusions. Thank you for your attention.
So I will allow for one question, but before that, I will ask the next speaker to get ready. Okay, yeah,
Hi, Patrick. Yeah, interesting analytic model for the disk radius. So you get a single number out of this that is a time-independent quantity. But I'm wondering about
the
time-dependence.
time is there because of the mass.
Okay.
The mass to the 1/3. So as time goes on, the mass increases. So the disk grows with the mass to the 1/3.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so for a roughly constant accretion rate, you would have T to the 1/3.
Growing disks, yes, proportional to the gain mass to the 1/3. It's actually the same dependent than in the hydro case, if you assume some body rotation.